the experiments are 5 and 6, presented by Eve Crane. Eve?
All right, thank you. So both of these experiments have to do with kind of thinking about cell membranes and whether or not we can kind of model them using a bubble solution. And I think as kids and even as adults, we always enjoy playing with bubbles because it's like a fun way to finish off the afternoon. But it does require a little bit of explaining, for which we hope not to get too tangled. Now, soap and phospholipids both have some similarities. We made some little models here. All of the models in your kit that we made are these little phospholipids, and they have basically a polar end, which likes water, which is this pom-pom here, and then the non-polar end, which fears water. And sort of how we kind of like to think about that, or an analogy that has been included in our kit, is that, you kind of think about the polar end being like a duck that likes the water, whereas the non-polar end is kind of like a cat, and it's gonna, like, you're gonna be sorry if you try to get that close to the water. And so basically, because it has these properties, and you can use the little, we gave 6 for each table so that they can kind of line them up and make little structures with them, that they will line up. And so in a cell membrane, you're going to have water inside the cell, or cytoplasm, and water outside the cell. So they're going to kind of line up so that these polar ends are touching the water. So you'll have a membrane like this, and you can show the kids like this with their 6 little phospholipids. Now, in a bubble, it's a little bit different because you don't have water inside there like you would inside a cell. It's actually the opposite. The water is actually in between the little layers of the bubble. And so it's the opposite. So we flip it around. And so that means for this bubble to work, there's got to be a little bit of water in there that kind of holds it together. And so we have some little water molecules that are inside of the bubble. And so as those water molecules kind of dry up, there's nothing, as your kind of bubble is made and it floats away, then the bubble will pop once you have no more water molecules. And so that's kind of how it works. And so the bubbles are kind of cool because they're kind of held together by these water molecules. They have a membrane that can heal and that can stretch, can go around. We weren't going to mention macrophages again, but the macrophages can go around and swallow up bacteria and other things. And so in this experiment, well, sort of an experiment, in this demonstration, which is going to be one per table, we're going to kind of sort of look at how these membranes stretch and heal. Kind of a cell divides, it'll re-heal again. If a macrophage goes along and finds the bacteria, it can swallow it up. And the kids are going to be able to use their hands to pretend like they are a macrophage, in theory. All right, so what we've got here is a 10x bubble solution. Don't use this straight; it'll be way too concentrated. It doesn't have to be perfect. It works kind of a 1:6 to 1:9 ratio. But what we recommend is putting about 450 mils, which I've got here, and this. Hopefully nobody wanted to make a smoothie, but all right, we've got that. The water is in here now. That, and then you each got 1 cup like this, which is, basically, I don't know if it's for a bar or something, but basically you can use this to measure out 50 mils if you like. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but don't use it completely concentrated. All right, so about 50 mils in there. And then we can use one of the straws to kind of stir it around, or a spoon. Okay. And so within each kit, we supplied one of the straw squares, which is made without tape. You just insert these mini straws inside one another to make a little square like this. And this is essentially like a big bubble wand, but it's big enough that the kids can now use it to like kind of make up like a membrane that they can play with. It's sort of like a cell membrane. All right. So we're putting this into the soap solution, and you can see you get a little bit of a membrane there. You kind of blow on it and see how you can stretch the membrane a little bit. Oh, you should wear goggles also. Okay. So one thing that you'll notice, they can test also with the little sticks or with the pipe cleaners that they have. Obviously, if you touch this membrane with something dry, well, actually that works, but it often will pop. But if you coat it in bubble solution, it'll kind of seal around each other, and you can pass things through the membrane. Like your hand, for example, I popped it there, but if they coat their hands, this is going to be a mess, but there are some paper towels. If they coat their hands in the bubble solution, now they can see, you can kind of stretch the membrane, and in fact, little cells can engulf your hand up to the point where it's been wet, at least. So they kind of can go around little bacteria and stuff and engulf it. So they can kind of examine the properties of membranes with this. And that's the gist of that demonstration. Okay. So in the first demonstration, in part 5, we used the commercial bubble solution, and we kind of thought about, soap or surfactant just kind of being these, like phospholipids, but actually, a surfactant molecule or soap actually looks like this. It just has one tail. I didn't make any of these for the kit, but feel free. You can reform the pipe cleaners and make some of these too if you want, to show how a soap might look different than a phospholipid. But in the first experiment, we just kind of thought about how these, phospholipids or surfactant molecules are binding to water and it's holding the bubble together. But in fact, there's probably a few more ingredients that are in our bubble solution that actually stabilize it. And it's actually true about cells too, that they have a lot of different things in their membrane. For example, cholesterol that helps stabilize them. There's channel proteins and other things that allow the cells to get what it needs into and out of the cell, and also to make those membranes a little bit more structurally sound. And so how can we kind of model that using a bubble solution? And so the bubbles, because we know that they're kind of held together, the two little layers of the bubble are held together by water molecules. Actually, things that you add that will stabilize and prevent that water from evaporating will also stabilize and kind of increase the size of bubbles you can make and lengthen the time the bubbles will last. And so things that we can add are things like sugars or glycerin. And so this experiment is to show the kids using basically these simple things from around the kitchen, how you can kind of model changes you can make to membrane structure. And so basically we've got 4 cups, and to each cup we want to add about, again, it doesn't have to be totally precise, but they should probably be about equal so we can make comparisons. We add about 100 mils of liquid to the first 3 cups, actually all 4 cups. Hopefully I did it right, I was going to run out. And then we've got a couple vials of detergent. The first one is not going to get anything to it, it's just water. That's cup A here. Oops, I don't know. And the second one, the cups B and C are each going to get half, which is our 10 ml vials. And we'll see if I can manage to pour half and half, but 5 mils is about 1 teaspoon. So we're going to put about 1 teaspoon each. And if you put way different amounts, you may not see the differences you're hoping to see.
You have a teaspoon there.
Oh, I could use a teaspoon. That might be recommended. We'll see how this goes. All right. And then the last one. And so this is going to be 1 per table. And so the kids can kind of assign, 1 person can be measuring the water, 1 person could be adding soap, and other people could be adding the additional sugar and glycerin to it. And then what we want to do is stir each one. So now we've got kind of 3, we have got 1 with no soap, and we've got 3 with hopefully an equivalent amount of soap. Okay, you don't want to get too crazy, obviously, and make a mess. But that may be hard to avoid. Okay, now we've got, now is it going to be sugar in the, okay, sugar is going to go into C. So you should have a little packet that's labeled sugar, little sugar crystals in here, and that's going to go into C.
Into C, correct?
Mm-hmm. That will help. Alright, and we can stir that up. And then there's a little bit of glycerin that's been sealed up in these tubes here. And so the end of the pipette, these are just little, What do you call this thing? Like a pipette, or what do you call it?
Yeah,
Little-
pipettes.
Okay.
I use a pair of scissors to cut those off with.
Yeah, so you don't need much glycerin to have an effect. So you have to just cut off the end that's been melted. So we just, we
I
have
have a
to
pair of scissors anywhere.
This is where you bring your scissors.
This is
from
where you
home.
want to bring scissors. Oh my god. Okay. Alright.
That's one of the things I have to bring from home. No, I don't think I got one anywhere. Bob to the rescue.
Yeah, okay. Or a knife. Or if you really want to get in trouble, you could bite it off with your teeth. Alright.
Library should have scissors.
Library scissors. Okay, and,
Well, it's in the
you
list
can
of things to
you can
bring.
rinse it out to make sure you got all the glycerin out like that. Alright. Yep. And so then we can start. Okay. And so now we just want to test it. We say which one works best. Is there any difference? Hopefully. So we also should have like multiple of these little wands. So each kid can have a wand. First of all, do we even need soap? Maybe we just blow bubbles with water. No, it didn't work. Okay, what if we have just plain soap? I mean, we should be able to get something to work, I think. Got one little bubble. See if I can make a bigger bubble. That's pretty good.
Yay!
But it didn't last too long. Alright, let's see how with the sugar. Make sure I got that sugar dissolved in there. Sugar up in there. Is that going to be any better? Oh, it's sticking there.
Ah, it's sticking to the table.
They might last longer. Oh, I got 4. So there might be some learning curve, but
They're sitting on the floor. That one was bouncing across the floor.
I think we do get a little bit better with the sugar.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Much more
finally,
stable.
the glycerin. Well, glycerin should be better. Well, that was bigger, but it's
And
still on the floor.
It's on the floor.
Oh, that's pretty good. And then lastly, I mean, I think it's the other thing you can do to kind of like see how long they'll last is you could put them into water or into these trays here. Potentially put them directly into the water. They may last longer. Here's one versus the sugar. Sugar doesn't do as good. Anyway. And the final thing that they can do is kind of test the commercial bubble solution with the same wand that they've already made here and kind of see if that may work a little better, which it should, because it's kind of been optimized with additional components.
More bubbles.
More bubbles. You totally get more bubbles. And if you read the bottle, also you'll notice that depending what kind of bubbles you want to make, like if you want to make giant bubbles, they recommend using a 1 to 6 solution instead of a 1 to 9, so kind of your concentration of the soap solution in there also makes a difference with how big of bubbles and how stable they are. Because your molecules are getting spread out, so you want to have more concentrate to make bigger bubbles. But that's about it. And the kids can make observations, I guess, of which ones they think are more stable. I mean, in theory, we didn't try it. I guess you could try mixing them. You overfill the cup.
The kids will love that part.
And see if it's any better, having both sugar and glycerin together. Well, maybe. Might be. But yeah, so that's about it.
That one's still sitting on the table behind the cups there.
Oh yeah.
On the table, right? And yeah, there you go. It's still there. Oh, you busted it. It's still there. Okay, now that we've had a chance to have this sit for a bit, it's been, what, 20 minutes perhaps? You can really see the effect of the soap, and it's still happening in mixing in attacking, really, the fat molecules in the milk in the same way that bile would attack fat in the intestinal tract. Okay, I have one last comment. Comment about the milk. In your kit, you have whole milk powder.
which will do a very good job of simulating this whole milk that I used. Don't substitute anything else. Make sure you use the whole milk. And lastly, there's several things the kids can take with them. They can take their safety goggles with them. They can take their pipe cleaner phospholipid bottles, if you would, and they can take the colorful beads from experiment number 1. They tell them they can take them home and take them out in the sunlight and get the same effect that we got with the UV light. Obviously, since sunlight is UV light is in sunlight.
And they can use the pipe cleaners from the phospholipid to make bracelets for the beads.
There you go. Good idea. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you all. Have fun with the kids, and we'll see you next year.